Hello again, sweet friends. Welcome back to episode 13 of the Fucked If I Know podcast. Promise that I'm working on a jingle, but I am talking to you guys today about done is better than perfect. And what a great reason to talk about this podcast for that very reason is I started this podcast a few months ago, and I thought I need to do all of the things to get it started. Like I need the cover artwork, I need the RSS feed, I need the jingle, I need this, and that. And I just kept putting off the podcast for fucking ages, mainly because, if I'm honest, I didn't have a jingle. I'm like, I need a jingle. How can I have a podcast without a jingle? How many times can I say jingle in one fucking episode? Anyway, I really had to just get over myself and go, you know what? I have information to share. I can figure this shit out later. I would rather just record the fucking audio and share it with the world, and the jingle can wait. And 13 episodes deep and I still haven't done it. It is on my to-do list. I will get there when the time is ready, maybe even after this. But the whole purpose of this episode is talking about how done is better than perfect and how I don't really believe in the idea of perfectionism. I know, shocking. But anytime I speak to a coaching client or anybody who tries to tell me they're a perfectionist, when you really get down to the root cause of why you feel you're being a perfectionist, it actually has a lot to do with a lot of other things and not the idea of being perfect. So it can come down to fear of being judged and seen, fear of being inadequate, fear of people talking shit about you online, whatever. There's always a root fear behind perfectionism. So for me, I would never have necessarily called myself a perfectionist. So I can't fully relate to that feeling of it must be perfect before I start. I definitely have felt like it needs to be more done to start than it, so I'm like, well, I need the jingle, I need this and that to get started. So I know that feeling, but not to the degree of I simply will not start because it is not perfect. But having worked with quite a few people when I'm coaching and in workshops around this whole idea of wanting to be perfect, I've always found that when we get down to the real, like the brass tacks or the root cause of where that feeling is coming from, it's usually a fear of not being good enough. So, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it's not the nicest thing to bring our awareness to, but it is really powerful to understand that we're not actually trying to be perfectionists. We're just worried about what other people will say, or we're worried about it just simply not being good enough. And again, that's kind of heavy and not the nicest thing, but at least we can bring awareness to it. And when we have awareness, we can begin to work through it. So one of the things I've kind of lived by is this whole idea of fuck off Susan. So if you haven't been following me for long, you don't know what this is. Basically, we have like an inner monologue that we get, like an inner mean girl. And I really don't love the name Susan. So sorry guys, if you're Susan and you're listening to this, nothing against you. But whenever I have this little fear pop up, my inner Susan, I tell her to fuck off. So Susan likes to tell you things like, you're a perfectionist, we can't do this, you're not good enough, you don't have a jingle for your podcast, you don't have a title page for your book, you don't have the audacity, the confidence, whatever she decides to say. And the thing is, Susan is inbuilt into us as a protective mechanism, and that inner voice has been around since fucking caveman days. And it was really beneficial because it stopped us from making stupid decisions that may get us killed. Like, don't go out of the cave or break away from the group mentality because you might get eaten by a fucking tiger or whatever. We still have that same inbuilt mechanism within us, but now it fears anything else that is change or anything else that is new and scary. So she actually has a purpose, which is really nice, but we can still tell her to fuck off. She can be in the car with us, but she's not allowed to drive. She's not allowed to touch the radio. She just sits, not even the temperature. She just sits in the seat, and we acknowledge that she's there and that she has a purpose, but we have bigger and better things to do. So if that is helpful for you, then feel free to appropriate and steal that from me. Fuck off Susan. You can call her something else. Some of my students have got Phyllis, others have got Bertha, like all kinds of amazing names. But the first kind of thing when we're meeting this perfectionism thing is just telling that inner voice to fuck off and just get on with it. Just fucking do it. What have you got to lose, right? So when I decided to make this podcast, I knew that I needed a couple of things bare minimum to get started. One was a microphone. Not even, I could have done it on my fucking laptop, but I wanted some bougie ass nice sound quality for your ear holes while you listen to me, that I needed software to record it and a platform to share it on. That's what I needed. Extra stuff like having a perfect cover title and having a jingle could all come later. And I know from experience that for me working, I need to just get something moving. I just need to get it started, and it can't be perfect to start. Like, it's not going to be perfect to start with, but I know in the back of my head that I can always come back and improve it later. I can always come back and add the jingle. I can always come back and add the podcast title. I can always come back and add this later. It's the same premise I brought to my academy as well. When I first did the Beginners Photography Academy, I had all all these massive ideas. And I'm like, okay, what can I do to get it started to deliver the content to the person? Because at the end of the day, particularly when you're a creator, if you're wanting to do a book or a course or a podcast or whatever, if you're wanting to get that information out there, the content isn't going to change based on a jingle. It's not going to change based on the look of the presentation or the book or the course or whatever. The actual like meaty part of that content is you and the information that you have to share. So we can spruce it up and we can add all the beautiful aesthetic stuff a little bit later on, but we need to fucking start somewhere. So if you are someone trying to create a product or a service or a podcast or whatever, what is the bare ass minimum you need to get that shit started? What do you need to just get it moving, right? Do you need the software? Do you need the tech, like the tech equipment? Do you need a website platform? What is the bare ass minimum you need to deliver the thing to somebody? This can also work, guys, for things like if you're wanting to create a piece of music or an artwork or choreo dance or whatever it is that you want to do, start a business, start a side hustle. What is the bare ass minimum you need to start to get your information, service, product, or whatever out there? And that's your base. So I'm going to keep using that podcast because it's so like relevant, obviously, to this scenario. I knew that I needed the microphone and a platform to record and a platform to share it, Spotify, iTunes. And even iTunes, I didn't I didn't upload anything to iTunes till maybe episode 9, simply because people asked. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot about iTunes, and just had it on Spotify predominantly. Was the only place it lived, to be honest, not even predominantly. Anyway, I digress. So I knew that I just needed to get this started. And I've had people message me being like, Gab, why don't you add a jingle? I'm like, yeah, I'll get there. But the information is here. You guys get the information quickly. I tell you what I'm trying to share, you can take away from it, you get it, and then like that's at the heart of what I'm trying to do, is just get information out quickly and to create longevity to it. So if someone asks me, hey, I've got perfectionism problems, I send them this podcast and go, hey, here's some fucking resources that are evergreen, they live forever. So I really want you to focus on what's the bare ass minimum, because done is better than perfect. Imperfect action outweighs perfect inaction every single fucking time. If I had let Susan continue to pipe up and tell me, oh, we can't start the podcast because we don't have a jingle, we don't have that, or whatever, I still wouldn't have recorded now 13 episodes for you guys. And I know that so many of them have helped you out there. I wouldn't have been able to help so many fucking people just off the basis of not having a fucking jingle on my podcast. And the same goes for you trying to choreo dance, write a song, paint a painting, whatever, take a photo. You're going to have to fucking start somewhere. So just start and acknowledge it will not be perfect. In fact, it will likely be shit. But that's okay, because at least it's done. At least it is done. The first time I made a PDF, the first time I made my course, everything, like, it was good, but it was like good enough for what it needed to be at that time. And I've come back and I've added and I've upgraded and I've improved. Since getting new photos taken and doing my rebrand, I've been able to go back to all of my PDFs for my offerings and my, booklets for everything or whatever, and I've been able to update them with all of my new content. Now, if I had waited for a rebrand, if I had waited for new photographs, I'd have so much stuff that wouldn't be out there by now. I wouldn't have the academy. I wouldn't have my presets. I wouldn't have my whole fucking business, to be honest, if I was waiting for the perfect moment and for everything to look refined and beautiful. And also, what I have noticed that people really vibe with, like, not having everything 100% fucking sorted out. I mean, you want to be able to deliver what you promised to deliver, of course, but me going, I'm just figuring out as I go along, I'm just winging it, gives other people permission to do the same fucking thing. You're probably in a circle of people who like the same things or want to do the same things. So by you just going out there and fucking doing it and having the audacity to say done is better than perfect, you give more people permission to do the exact same fucking thing. Okay, so this is a mantra that I want you to take with you when you're trying to start something new. Maybe, I would take a punt and say that you are trying to start something new or do something at the moment. That's why you are listening to this podcast. But your new mantra that I want you to take with you is imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. It is better to have something out there than nothing. It is better to have the absolute bare ass minimum out there that you can then build on top of than to have absolutely fucking nothing at all. Okay, so I want you to go out there, do something imperfect, do something a little bit shit, just get it started. Start the PDF, write the first sentence, get the fucking microphone, don't worry about the jingle, and just get it moving. If I can do it, you can fucking do it. I literally sat on my hands about the podcast for a year over a jingle. Imagine how many episodes I would have by now if I just went out and fucking did it. So go out and do it. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. I can't wait to hear what it is that you're going to go out and do a really shit job of. I can't wait knowing that you're going to be able to improve on it. And also take this opportunity to reflect on the root cause of that perfectionism. So if it's this fear of not being good enough, you can then go to Susan, actually, fuck off, not having a bar of it. I am good enough and I'm just going to do this shit anyway, right? So tell Susan or Bertha or Phyllis, whatever you want to call her, to fuck off and just get on with it and do it. Thank you so much for listening to episode 13. It's been lovely to have you here. Don't forget to leave a review over on iTunes. I would so appreciate it. It really helps the podcast get more exposure so that more people can listen and learn from it. And I love a bit of word of mouth. Who doesn't? So please go and leave a review on iTunes if you feel so inclined to do. And I can't wait to speak to you in episode 14.